My next hack is all about the translation function, but before we get into that, I did just want to say that if you're not a native English speaker and you're creating content in English, or if you are a native English speaker and you're creating content in English, honestly, this is a hack for absolutely everyone. I would really recommend that you install Grammarly as a free Google Chrome extension that helps to check your work within Canva, because it's honestly so hard to pick up on your own mistakes, and Canva's not great at picking everything up. So Grammarly is a nice check for, spelling mistakes like this one. It'll say, hey, you've really misspelled something here, but it also will help you to write more concisely, potentially give you some additional suggestions and things like that. But when it comes to correcting spelling mistakes, Grammarly is an absolute lifesaver, so I would really recommend that. But then this hack is more about, let's say you're creating content in two different languages because maybe your client has two different audiences. It does happen quite a bit. I'm going to be using this example of my website because that is quite a common thing where people want to create a website in two different languages. So in this case, what I could do is go on over to apps, and okay, so it would be here. I've already activated it, so it's just down here. But let's say it wasn't, so it's just going to be in apps and translate. And then I can say, all right, so automatically detect, or I could just say this is English. And then I'm going to be translating this to Slovak because I want to be able to actually pick up on the errors. And I only know English, Slovak, and Czech. So those are the languages that I can actually sort of help to understand how well it's translated it. So in this case, I was just translating page 2, and it's essentially just replicated it and then put it into Slovak for me. So because I can read this, what I can say is, translating from English to another language means going from generally from simpler to harder, and especially is the case with a lot of European languages where the default is this translation tool, just like Google Translate, will think that I'm talking about myself in the male tense. So it won't necessarily pick up on the fact that I'm a woman talking about myself as a woman. So it will need to be adjusted a little bit because it's not entirely grammatically correct for me speaking from a female perspective, but it's pretty close. I have to say, like, in terms of how I would write it in Slovak versus how I would write it in English, it's pretty darn close. So if you do speak several languages, you'll obviously be able to correct this for yourself, but it does save you the time of, either having to go to Google Translate and figure it out from there, or having to start from scratch in the other language that you want to be creating for. So that can be really handy for things like websites, for social media posts. But again, of course, make sure you are doing a final check of the translation because it's never going to be 100%.